Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wednesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call. Today is July 5th. Despite the fact that it's been relatively quiet the last few days, there are things that are going on. This will be a short call today. We have received in the last week a tsunami of requests for our initial no obligation package. We've received a tsunami of requests from existing clients that want to amend their existing trust, and we've received a tsunami of phone calls, texts, and emails asking all manner of questions. And so unfortunately, our priority has to be to service our existing clients and those individuals that have expressed a desire to get our initial no obligation package. So I'm going to get right into the information we have for today. First, by way of disclaimer, Trusts Unlimited is not the purveyor of the dinar and these other currencies. We're not advocating either the sale of these currencies, sale or purchase of these currencies, but is rather substantial currency holders ourselves. We're sharing with you the information we believe to be most relevant. And, of course, that would involve a window for the potential reinstitution of the dinar. We have a window right now of July 1st through August 15th. Now, the reason we have this window isn't because we have a specific date within that time frame that we think there will be a change in the rate, but that is the optimal time for an exchange. We want to see the exchange in the first 6 weeks, if not the first month of a quarter, because that will allow us at least 60 days to hold the currency if it comes out at initially the low float. It also means we don't have to worry about taxes until October 15th. So this is a good window for us in terms of the exchange rate and the tax implications as well. As I said, all seems to be fairly quiet. We were hopeful that something would occur right after the holiday of Eid al-Fitr. Now we're looking at the New Year festivities, which are from July 14th to July 16th, so we will see what happens. I still maintain that the reinstitution of the dinar could happen at any time, although I'll get into a little bit more specifics about how we think that's going to occur. The way to look at this point, again, because we're sort of in this quiet period, is to use or employ what I refer to as the Socratic approach. I'm talking, of course, about Socrates, an ancient Greek philosopher, and he said the way to come to a conclusion on a given issue where it may not be clear is to ask a series of legitimate questions and through process of elimination come to what seems to be the most likely outcome given the information at hand. So let's go ahead and ask a few questions. Why would Iraq pass a 3-year budget for the first time in its history with deficits and expenditures in trillions well beyond their IQD money supply? Seems to me that makes no sense in a program rate. Second question, why would Iraq have recently repaid its indebtedness to Iran for the assistance with the electric grid? Why would they pay all reparations to Kuwait? And most importantly, why would they pay fees to join the World Trade Organization? They can't operate with a currency that's really in a program rate. They clearly don't have sufficient USD reserve currency, although they have perhaps more reserve currency USD than they've ever had before, but the numbers don't fly. There's no way they can operate a 3-year budget on a program rate. There's no way they can operate a 3-year budget with the U.S. currency they have in place. It's simply not enough money to run the government and fulfill all of the contracts that they've been signing. Third question, Why transition to electric platforms like the BUNA and the ISO 222 to facilitate international financial transactions which cannot be accomplished at a program rate? Another question, why have the Iraqi banks halted all international financial transactions just prior to the release of the budget instructions? Another question, why is the Iraq CBI purchasing substantial amounts of gold recently? They don't need it to prop up a currency that's in a program rate. Last question, why has the coalition framework filed a ridiculous last-gasp Hail Mary appeal to the federal Supreme Court regarding the constitutionality of the new 3-year budget? The only plausible answer to all of these questions is that Iraq is preparing for a change in their exchange rate. They're preparing for the reinstitution of their currency. Another issue is, why is Iraq moving to transition to a private economy now? And why are they moving to diversify their economy through the agricultural, industrial, import, export, and tourism sectors? Why is all of this happening now? Remember, the naysayers have been saying that we cannot change the exchange rate until all of these other things are in place. Well, I could just as equally propose that they cannot facilitate all of these different issues until and unless they change the exchange rate. So it's the chicken and the egg argument. We do know things seem to be very quiet right now. We've had daily comments from the Prime Minister, from the Governor of the Central Bank, from the Minister of the Finance and others for months now. All of a sudden, everything is quiet. That, to me, means they're in the process of flipping the switch. And let's talk about where they've come. Here's what I expect. First, we saw the depegging from the USD, and, of course, we saw the dinar float all over the place because it depegged. And initially, people, I know a number of our clients were very disappointed. They said, oh, the dinar is never going to reinstitute. My argument was no. They needed to depeg. They needed to allow it to float. And because the dinar lost value initially against the USD, that would force individuals to turn their provisional 3-0 currency in exchange for the U.S. dollar. And you could say that the deletion of the zeros also incorporates the collection of the provisional 3-0 currency. What I expect to see now is an incremental move to 1-to-1 with the U.S. dollar. And again, I'm talking about this window from now to August 15th. Once we get to 1-to-1, or perhaps the dinar at a slight premium over the dollar in country, we'll then see it float on the Forex. I would imagine that the minimum objective, once they float to the Forex, is a return to $3.22, what the dinar was worth against the dollar when it went into a program rate. But I expect it to float to the projected Basel IV compliant rate of $4.85. And I expect all of this to happen by mid-August. Now, I know we're talking about Iraq, and we always have learned over the years that there's always some X factor floating around out there. But through the series of questions that I've presented here, they've sort of painted themselves into a corner. Iraq is rapidly reaching a point where there are only two possibilities. One is the reinstatement of their currency, entry into the international markets, and Iraq really certainly being a major force in the Middle East, but a force to be reckoned with economically, globally. The other option is that Iraq is a failed nation state. And I just simply do not believe that that's possible given everything that's transpired over just the last, well, since January 1st of this year, but for the last 20 years. All of this would be for naught if Iraq becomes a failed nation state. Now, I was involved in the situation in Kuwait. It was a different situation, but we have to remember that one of the reasons the international community went in there to stop Iraq was because of the wealth of Kuwait, geopolitically where it was located, for the transport of oil globally. Also, we have to remember that Iraq's wealth dwarfs that of Kuwait. So if the international community was willing to force Iraq out of Kuwait, then the international community is more than willing to do what's ever necessary to ensure that Iraq now becomes an international force to be reckoned with an international currency. And, of course, for those of us that are holders of the provisional 3-0 currency, it's well beyond just the fact that the United States has assisted Iraq through this circuitous route back to becoming a sovereign nation state, self-sufficient, properly governed, but also those of us who assisted Iraq by purchasing the provisional 3-0 currency and took that risk are going to be rather handsomely rewarded for it. So just in summary, we're looking at a window between now and August 15th, in my opinion. If this were to happen on or before August 15th, we're very comfortable in a very good position. Should the currency again take its time to float, I think it's going to get to 322 rather quickly, but from 322 to 485 could take a while, and that'll give us time for that to occur. And once again, since we're in July, worst case scenario is taxes would be due on October 15th. And even if this thing were to reinstitute on August 15th, that gives us 60 days, again, before we have to worry about paying Uncle Sam. For those of you that are calling in for the first time, again, thank you for taking the time to do so. If the things we've discussed here are of interest, you can listen to some of our previous calls dealing with the trust package that we have. I would strongly suggest that you contact us to get our initial no-obligation package. It's got everything you need if you do wish to proceed. Our trust package has a cost of $2,500. This was a trust that we've utilized for our more affluent clients in the past, which had a cost of anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000, depending upon the complexity and the net worth of that particular individual. So this is a trust package for the big boys, and post-RV, you're going to be a big boy. So this is something you want to look at. When you get the package, it is a no-obligation package, but it has in it a lot of information about us, about the trust, about the revaluations. One important document in there is the 5 reasons why you need to establish a trust package pre-RV. Now, of course, after the reinstitution of the dinar, for those that are our clients, we're going to deal with a number of things. Why you need to get your money out of the banks, and how you can circumvent the central bank digital currency so that you can operate outside of their system, transition to tangible income-producing assets and the like. You can go to our website, which is trusts with an S, unlimitedllc.com. If you're interested in our package, you can either send us an email or call us. Our email address is trusts with an S, unlimitedllc@gmail.com, and our phone service is 307-274-4122. Contact us. We'll be happy to get our initial package out to you. Again, it's a no-obligation package, but it does contain everything you need if you wish to proceed. If you do so, we'll do everything we can to assist you with the establishment of your trust package. You can contact us by phone or email if you have any questions, and there will be no consultation fee. Our next call is, of course, scheduled for next Wednesday. Certainly, if something of dramatic nature were to happen between now and then, we'll try to get out an emergency email and schedule an emergency conference call. But failing that, we'll be back next Wednesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. We're in very special times right now, and God willing, this long ride will be over shortly. Take care and have a great week. Bye-bye, everyone.